Good morning, everyone. My name is Jacob VandeMoorte, and I'm the coordinator of K-12 Social Studies and World Languages. Sorry I couldn't be with you today, but I've put together a short presentation about the Illinois State Seal of Biliteracy, which I get to oversee as part of my role as coordinator of World Languages. I promise not to take up too much of your time as I briefly explain what the Seal of Biliteracy is, how your students can earn it, and what it means for them. So let's dive in. The Illinois State Seal of Biliteracy is an award students get upon graduation if they can demonstrate a level of proficiency in both English and another language. The most commonly awarded language we award students in U-46 is Spanish, and a large reason for that is because of our dual language program, which is why you're here. So let's talk about what the Seal of Biliteracy is. Students who earn the Seal of Biliteracy are automatically awarded 2 years of college credit in world languages at any Illinois public college or university. Some schools might even give more. What that means is your student who can go off to a college and more or less have all the credits required for a minor in that language, so that if they're going off to major in business, they can add a minor without doing a lot of coursework, or they can more easily double major. So they might have a degree in engineering and Spanish, which we know will help them in the workforce. Additionally, the Illinois State Seal of Biliteracy is a portable demonstration of biliteracy. So even if your student's not planning on going to college, they can take the Illinois State Seal of Biliteracy to their employer and say, I don't just know Spanish, I'm certified that I know Spanish and English. And here is this piece of paper that says so. And it's at this level. And if you have questions, you can look online and see what that says. So it's really powerful for leveraging your students' abilities when they go to get a job, so that they stand out against other candidates. And additionally, because it's a significant feat to earn the Illinois State Seal of Biliteracy, there are a bunch of special honors we give them at graduation. I'll talk more about those in a little bit. So in the short time we have together today, I'm going to try to address these main topics. How can you earn the Seal of Biliteracy? What do you have to do? How we at U-46 can help you. How do you register? What's the testing like? How will you know how you did? Basically, what do the results look like? What kind of honors do we get? And then I'll try to address some frequently asked questions that I wind up getting a lot. So the first and most important thing, how do you earn the Illinois State Seal of Biliteracy? Well, it's really important to note that there are two things you have to do. You have to demonstrate proficiency in Spanish and in English, and you have to do both. To earn it in Spanish, you gotta get a passing score. That's an intermediate high, sometimes labeled as an I-6 in Infinite Campus, in 4 different domains. That's speaking, listening, reading, and writing. There's a test for each one, and you have to pass each one. Then, once you've demonstrated that proficiency in Spanish, you also have to demonstrate your proficiency in English. Typically in U-46, we do this by getting a 480 or higher on the reading and writing portion of the SAT, which your students will all take as juniors. If, after they take the SAT, they don't have a 480 on the reading or writing in the SAT, there are some other avenues we can pursue, but we only pursue those if your student doesn't get the 480 on the SAT. If you have questions about that, you can ask your school's assistant principal of innovation, and they can help you register for a different way to demonstrate your English proficiency. So how can U-46 help? It's a great question. So there is a fee for these tests. They're $20 each, but U-46 covers that fee. We pay for it. There's no cost to you. Additionally, we will offer this test to any student who wants to take it, who's enrolled in high school. So you've got to be in 9th through 12th grade. We can only award it to students who are in high school, so we only test them when they're in high school. And we offer that testing 2 times a year, in the fall and in the spring. So there are plenty of opportunities for your students to demonstrate their proficiency. As far as registration, there'll always be a registration link when registration is open. At the U-46 Seal of Biliteracy website, you can find that by just searching for U-46 Seal of Biliteracy. Additionally, you'll get an email. Every high school parent and student will get an email from the info email when registration opens. That's typically the end of August for fall testing and the end of February for spring testing. Keep an eye out for that and make sure your student registers on time. Now, the registration is a form, and in order to make sure all the systems sync up and award the credit to the right kid, we need your student to register while logged in with their U-46 student email credentials. And so if you try to register your student, unless you've logged in as them, it's not going to let you complete the form. So just a heads up on that, because that can be a little frustrating when you think everything's right and it won't let you submit it. Just make sure your student logs in, and then you can help them, or they can register themselves. Additionally, the assistant principals of innovation at each school are our site coordinators, and so they'll probably send out additional emails besides the info, and they'll probably have information in your buildings. And if your student ever has a question and they just want to pop in and ask someone a question, that assistant principal of innovation at their school would be the person to ask. Otherwise, you can always contact me. My extension here at the district office is 7705, so that's the 847-888-5000. Extension 7705, or you can email me. My email's attached at the end of this presentation. So every building tests a little bit different because we do have some flexibility. It's about a 2-week window. Your student won't have to test for 2 weeks, but their test date might fall early or later in the window because we test hundreds of kids every year. And so each school will coordinate that slightly differently. But there are 4 domains. They're going to take a speaking test where they'll actually speak into their computer. They'll take a listening test where they use headphones and listen and answer questions. They'll take a reading test where they have to read a bunch and then answer questions about it. And they'll have to take a writing test where they write in Spanish. And all this is done on their Chromebooks. They will be pulled out of class and taken to a nice quiet testing area, but they will use their own Chromebooks and headphones for that. The really nice thing is, out of those 4 domains, each of those 4 tests, if a student were to pass 2 of them and not pass the other 2, they can retake only the 2 that they didn't pass and try again in the next testing session. And so we always keep a passing score, and then we can connect those to other passing scores until a student's passed all 4 sections. So they don't have to retake the whole test. They can just take the sections that they didn't pass the first time. The test is, each test is about 25 to 35 minutes. It's determined based on the student's pace. There is no time limit, so if a student takes a little longer to listen or to read, that's perfectly okay. They'll have that time. But it's typically about 25 to 35 minutes per test, which means the whole test is about 2 hours. Students, it can be broken up so they could take 2 tests one day and 2 tests the next day if that works best for the school scheduling. That's really kind of stuff handled at each school site. But it's about 2 total hours, with each of the 4 tests being around a half an hour each. So about a month after the testing is finished, students' emails and parents' emails will get an email from the district explaining what their scores mean, what their scores are, and what next steps might be. So your students will get that automatically sent to them through the registration. And if you, as a parent, have an updated email address at Infinite Campus, you'll get that as well. The really great news is it'll explain what their score on each of the 4 domains is. And if they didn't pass one of the domains, what's really cool is it will say, here's what you got and what it means. Here's what you can work on for the next time. So they can take it again. If they take it in the fall, they can take it again in the spring, and they can use that feedback to practice and get better. Additionally, the really nice thing is the students don't have to keep track of which areas they've passed and which areas they haven't passed. If a student passes some domains but not all of them, all they have to do in the next testing session is register to test. Our systems will figure out which tests they need and only make them take the tests that they need again. So it's possible that a student might test in the fall, be told, hey, you didn't pass everything, you passed 3 but not the last one. They don't have to remember which one they're registering for when they go to test in the spring. They just register to test again, and the system will tell them, hey, you only need this one test, which is really nice. Remember also, it's great when a student has passed all four domains and we celebrate that because that's halfway there. But don't forget, the student also must demonstrate their proficiency in English by passing the English portion of the SAT with a score of 480 or higher. So while it's really exciting to get those four domains passed, we still have to take that SAT and get the English score too. We don't technically award the seal of biliteracy until a student graduates. That's kind of the way the state has written the law. So if your student does get the Illinois State Seal of Biliteracy, that's awesome, and we celebrate that. And to celebrate that and to memorialize it, we make sure that that is noted on the official transcript that gets sent out to all the schools they're applying for. On the student's diploma, they will also get a special embossed seal indicating they've earned the Seal of Biliteracy, and they'll get a really cool medal to wear at graduation as well, indicating that they've got a special skill that their peers have not earned. Now, there's some questions around this that I often get. So let me do my best to address those. And then, of course, if you have other questions, please feel free to contact me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. One of the most important questions, because this is a significant amount of college credit that students are going to earn when they go to college because of this test. One of the questions is, how will a college know? And here's the truth. You've got to make sure you tell them. When you're applying to schools, especially in Illinois, this is a really significant honor. Make sure they know when you're applying that you've got the Illinois State Seal of Biliteracy, because that's going to help you get accepted over other students who don't. And then once you've been accepted, make sure you ask the admissions office to review your transcript for awarding the proper amount of college credit based on your status with the Seal of Biliteracy. Even though it's a law that they have to accept it, some schools don't necessarily know to capture that unless you tell them to. So make sure you tell them that you've earned it when you're applying and once you've been accepted. Another question I often get is, what about schools that aren't public or they're in another state? Do they award credit too? And the answer is it kind of depends. You should definitely ask when you're applying, and you should definitely still tell them. If you're going to the University of Iowa, just because they don't necessarily say they accept the Illinois State Seal of Biliteracy, you should ask them if they do, because the answer is yes, they do. And so do a lot of other schools. We have a lot of reciprocity with other states, and a lot of private schools also honor the Seal of Biliteracy and give some, even if it's not a full 2 years worth of college credit. So make sure every school you're applying to knows that you have it. And then again, once you've been accepted, make sure you ask them to evaluate it. One quick note about this. Earning the Illinois State Seal of Biliteracy awards you college credit. Once you go to college, you're going to have 2 years of that language. But it doesn't replace Spanish classes here at U-46. So if a college has a 3-year world language requirement, just because you got the Seal of Biliteracy doesn't mean you don't have to take world languages. You still have to take your world languages and show colleges that you're interested. But what's really great is this allows you to get that credit once you're in college. So don't just skip out on world languages because you've earned the seal. You still need to have those to get into a lot of colleges. Some other questions I often get are, can my student take the test more than once? And the answer is yes. As many times as you need to pass, you can take it. We offer it twice a year in the spring and in the fall. And every one of those opportunities, your student can register and take it again. The retake is not the entire test. It's only the parts that your student hadn't passed before. So if your student passes 3 of the tests, they only have to take that one test. So it gets less and less intrusive on their class time as they pass more and more tests. So instead of getting pulled out for 2 hours, they might only get pulled out for a half an hour. We will always keep track of all the tests and connect the tests that pass so that your student only has to take the ones they haven't passed yet. And then are those retakes free? Yes, they are, always. In U-46, we recognize that this can really be career altering to earn the Seal of Biliteracy. To be able to go off to college and not have to pay for 8 classes, I mean, goodness sakes, that can save $5, $6, $7, $8,000 depending on where you go to school. And to be able to graduate with a double major or a minor in Spanish because you did this now, we realize how important that is and how much it can change the trajectory of a student's educational career. And so this test is free every time, always, because it's that important. We know thousands of our students have bilingualism, and this is a way to make sure we memorialize it and honor it, so it's always free. So that was some of the most typical questions I get, but it's not all the questions. And if you have other questions, please reach out to me. My name is Jacob VandeMoorte. That's a long Belgian name. The email is here on the screen. You can also find me on the district's Seal of Biliteracy website. You can always email me at jacobvandemortel@u46.org. Additionally, you should know that at each high school, there's a site coordinator of the Seal of Biliteracy, and they are the APs of innovation, or the person who oversees world languages. So right now, as of 2022, at Bartlett High School, that's Mr. Radwan Aberdan. His email is on the screen. At Elgin High School, that's Mr. Rafael Martinez. At Larkin High School, that's Miss Cecily Flores Urbes. At South Elgin High School, that's Miss Marcella Sheeler. And at Streamwood High School, that's Miss Tracy Stewart. You can always reach out to them with building-specific questions, or you can reach out to me, and I can answer them as well. I want to thank you for taking the time to sit through a presentation with a video screen and not a live person this morning. I know that's not always ideal, but I appreciate you sitting through it because I think the information here can really be life-changing for your students. It can save them a ton of money in college. It can help advance their careers. And most importantly, it can honor a skill that many of them naturally have. They're bilingual, and that matters. And we get to say, hey, we see you. We see you in your bilingualism, and we know that's important. Here's a recognition of that. So I hope this has helped. If you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to chat with you more. Thank you so much for your time.